Hello, hello. It is I, the Texas teacher, here once again. Be honest, just doing a little rambling, just doing a little talking. Uh, really not much else other than that to do this weekend. We got my wife left Thursday to a trip to Houston. I'm really kind of nervous about that. Weather down there has not been ideal. When you see pictures of water up to the side of to the windows on buses, that kind of makes you a little nervous. But I sent her down there. She'll handle it. She's tough. She's tougher than me in a lot of stuff on that travel. Way more experience at than me. I think I've been on a plane 2 trips in my lifetime. One to Florida and one to San Antonio. I live up in Northeast Texas, so there's not a lot of places. I mean, Dallas is like an hour and a half drive from me, so that ain't no big deal. But it's kind of I always forget how quiet the house gets when there's just me here. And it's not that we're loud people, it's just you get noises, you get used to the noises of other people. Moving stuff around, closing doors, whatever. And with Jess, she always has her Kindle watching stuff on Netflix, and I'm used to hearing, like, say, Andy Griffith or whatever coming out of her Kindle, even over what I'm doing, whether it be recording videos or playing games or watching TV myself or whatever. So it's just kind of unusual, and the sleeping part's the worst. I'm going to go ahead and say this to you. Most of y'all probably way too young to think about getting married yet, but one thing you're going to have to get used to when you find somebody that you do live with is once you get used to sleeping in a bed with that person, going to bed, and that person being next to you, and you hear them snoring or whatever, you get used to that. And me, I already have insomnia. An average bedtime for me is probably 2 or 3 a.m. Most given nights, which is not good for me because I've got sleep apnea, which is a whole separate bag of worms. So it's already hard for me to go to sleep, and it's even worse when go to sleep and all that's in there is the dog, who's kind of pissed off at me because I'm the only one in there. She actually lets me know. She woke me up at 7 this morning, which was bull crap because I could have slept in. But it happens. But I'm ready for her to come home. She's supposed to come home tomorrow. I'm recording this on Friday. I don't know when it's going to come out. It will come out, though. Nice little rambling. But other than that, it's been a weird day. It's felt like a weird day. What with the inauguration going on and all that madness, both sides. So sick of politics. I'm so sick of politics. It poisons people, I think. I really do think it does. I think it poisons people's minds. And it just constant. And it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. At the end of the day, you're supposed to be friends or neighbors or whatever. Or just human beings. And the way people treat each other over this shit it's ridiculous. It really is. It is honestly ridiculous. And I'm just so tired of it. And what hurts the most is I think social media lets people share more than they would average do. And there have been people that I really thought a lot of that I've changed my thinking on them somewhat due to stuff they post online. It's the way they act on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And that hurts. When you legitimately admire somebody and then it just goes away in a freaking heartbeat because of the way they act. There's no place in this world for that. I think that's part of the thing of social media. You know what's bad is I've been on Facebook since probably right before I got into college. I've been in Facebook. Back then it was MySpace was the big one. But I had social media. And it's only been in probably the last 2 years that I've noticed this crap. There's been people I just like throw my hands up, I wash my hands of it. And there'd be days I'd want to delete what I've got online just because I'm tired of seeing it. But for cases like me, it's a great place to share my videos. It's a great place for me. Facebook's where I talk to family. Facebook's like my big thing to communicate with family and friends I don't see every day. Twitter's more the place I do my teacher plays stuff. I mean, I still share them on Facebook too, but to me, Facebook's more one for personal. But that's just me. But it's the nature of the beast, I guess. But I don't know. It's just been hard finding motivation to do anything today. I recorded some stuff, specifically Battlefield 1. Give my little thoughts on it, my review. You can watch that video if you want to know what I think about it. I'm not going to rehash that here just because this is just me talking just for the sake of talking, I guess. Get some stuff off my chest. But got it taken back because I'd actually rented it. Local video store had a free game rental, so I'm going to start keeping an eye out for that crap because that would make my little review part of my channel very easy. It's one I definitely want to keep going because my reviews, by and large, probably my most popular stuff, short of this stuff here, which makes it weird. Live action stuff is always my most popular stuff, more so than gameplay, more so than anything. It's always live action stuff, whether it's game reviews or just plain old vlogs. I think that's odd. But it's what people are watching, so I will definitely keep doing it. I'm actually working on possibly a new show to go on my channel. Me and my brother are going to get together and do sort of a podcast. We've dubbed it the Brotherly Love Podcast. So we'll be coming out with that as soon as we can get some arrangements set up, the logistics of it. It's kind of been easy back in the day, back when we lived at home, even back in college. I lived at home for a while. It would have been a hell of a lot easier to do it back then, but, you know, what's odd to me is I'm so cognizant I know so much about YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that now. I wish I had known about that back in, like, say, 2007. I wish I'd been more into YouTube and stuff like that, where I could have gotten my channel started then, and I think it would have been a hell of a lot easier to get out there and get popular than it is now. Just because now there's Let's Players everywhere. There's just a ton of Let's Players. And back then, I didn't know about anybody. The only reason I knew Rooster Teeth was because of Red vs. Blue. I didn't know they did anything like Let's Plays or anything like that. I've got no clue when they did start that. And even like some of the other people that I follow online, Team 4-Star, they did their Dragon Ball Z Abridged back, not even back then, just maybe barely back in 2007. But it's interesting to me, some of this. Some of the people I admire on YouTube. Boogie2988 probably would have been the first. He would have been started about that time period. He's one of these days I want to meet. There's quite a few of the people that I follow on YouTube that I would just love to meet and just get to know. And as far as it, I've been asked before, like, who my favorite YouTubers are, people I follow. Definitely Team 4-Star. Always been a big fan of their work. Rooster Teeth, just the way they started small and then have exploded today in all the different groups that make up Rooster Teeth, in all the work they do charity-wise. I'm just a huge fan of what they do. Michael Cthulhu. I have gotten into his videos quite a bit just because of, say, I've always wondered about blacksmithing and making weapons and things like that. And he shows that you don't necessarily have to be a blacksmith with a forge and melting the metal and casting and all that kind of stuff. You can be basically a welder, which is something I have done before and I've got some experience with, so it gives me hope. Although I don't think I'll ever be up to his quality. He does really good stuff with not that very much equipment, and I have to say I really like that. That's something I definitely want to try one of these days, just to make, say, like my own knife or something like that. Boogie2988, I've mentioned him before. He does really good on gaming news and a bunch of different videos, and I like that. Let's see, Little Karibo. He's the one who basically started the whole abridged thing. But in addition to that, he also has kind of got me back into wrestling. That's something that I used to love back in the 90s. I watched wrestling for the so-called Attitude Era. The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mankind, Kane back when he was cool. The Undertaker. All those people were just like huge, we used to love watching them. And we would. Me and my little brother. And to an extent, we watched it with Dad and everything. And that was just something we always loved seeing. Uh, and then I got away from that, whether it was because I just didn't have access to it or just didn't care anymore. And I actually watched my first episode of SmackDown the other day, just first time in a long time, because I'd been watching a show Little Karibo does called The Marker Mark. And I actually legitimately liked it. It was pretty good. I have to say, I'm a huge Randy Orton fan now. He didn't do so good on SmackDown the other day, but I'm still a fan. Stuff like that. I love the fact some of this stuff is bringing back nostalgia to me. Stuff that I loved when I was a kid, and it kind of brings me back to a simpler time. You may not know this, but when you get to be my age, and I'm not that old, I'm not even 30 yet, being an adult still sucks. Worrying about paying bills, jobs, all that kind of crap. It's so nice, whether through streaming services or YouTubers or whatever, to be able to go back to a simpler time where you don't have to think about that stuff for just a little while. And I think that's why I play video games the way I do. It's an escape. But anyway, this was just a little rambling video. I don't think there was any point to it other than just talking. If you have any questions about anything, just let me know in the comments. If you've got favorite YouTubers, let me know who you've got. I don't really expect to make anybody's list. It'd be great if I did. Maybe one day. I would love to make this my full-time job. I'm not even joking. Where I could put some serious money back into it and be able to be honest. I'd always love to do it with, say, me and my brother. Just where we can do content, where we can do games and let's plays and podcasts and stuff like that. If that was my job, that would be a damn dream come true. I would absolutely freaking love it. You never hear about this stuff being a job. When you're in school, high school, whatever. And if any of you are in high school, follow your damn passions. As long as you can make a living doing it, follow your dreams. There's no reason why you shouldn't. If I had known then what I know now, there are probably some things I would do different. I talk about that every once in a while with my wife. And if it hadn't been for me getting denied a scholarship, I would have probably gone to Arkansas for college. I'd have never met my wife. And I honestly don't know where I would be right now without her. I mean, simple answer is probably dead. Because, and I'm not even joking, my wife has saved my life twice by making me go to a doctor for sleep apnea and for something that just didn't look right on my stomach. And with sleep apnea, I probably would have had a heart attack and maybe died by now if I hadn't got it treated. It was bad, very bad. And with the infection I had, if it hadn't been cut off, if I'd gone 2 days later, I wouldn't be here talking to you now. So it's always one of those things that I wonder, it's a what if. Would that still have formed? Would I still have had that infection? Would I have had anybody around me who would have noticed it and forced me to go to the doctor? I mean, it's just it's those things that really, you don't always think of things negative happening to you as positive, but at the time I thought me getting turned down with that scholarship was one of the worst things that ever happened to me. Because in my mind I was going to go to medical school, I was going to be a doctor. And University of Arkansas, the Razorbacks would have been my home, and I thought I would go to medical school there and straight through. It's just, it's incredibly hard to imagine a life where that had actually happened. Those what ifs I always love. I mean, even in games, you have the Dragon Ball Z games that have the what if scenarios. I love those because you wonder if just for a couple things different, how different would your life be today if something hadn't happened to you? So it's always just something to think about. Anyway, this Texas teacher doing a little rambling today. Class is dismissed. Have a great one. All you damn dreams.